What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are working on a John Deere today. This tractor belongs to a friend of mine, and he brought it over to me. Said he's had trouble with the fuel pump fuse blowing and the tractor shutting down in the middle of a field. And what he did to correct the problem was he run a wire from around on the starter to the other side over there. He cut the wire right here that goes to the fuel pump, and he tied this wire from the starter going to the other side, the hot wire, to it, and put a toggle switch on it. But that wire right there also goes to your alternator, or I guess it's on the same circuit or something. I'm not 100% sure, but he said whatever the case, the alternator wouldn't charge and all that. But when he brought it to me, he had all the fuses taken out, and these are not the correct fuses that's in there. They're just some that I had laying around to stick in there to make sure there was something in there so I could tell. There's still some missing, but I've moved some of those around there, just trying to get everything to work. My camera keeps shutting the light off on me. But these are resettable fuses that come out of a 18-wheeler, little circuit breakers that's in there right now, so you can test with. But anyway, I don't know where you get those at nowadays, but they used to have them in some of the older big trucks. Anyway, so I've got that, and I've done some testing, and I've got everything working. And according to some research I've done on the internet, which I have not verified on this tractor, there's a problem with this sensor right here, which is a cold start advance sensor. It's in your thermostat housing there. It plugs up right here, and this wire, if you follow the wires, there's two wires that go right here on the injector pump, and then on the bottom there's a little coil solenoid right there on the bottom that also goes in that harness. And from my understanding is this thing here shorts out, which I have tested it with an ohm meter, and it is not shorted out at the time. But from what I've read, this is on that circuit, and it will short out and it will blow the fuel pump fuse and make the tractor quit. And according to my friend, he said it would run great, like 90% of the time. It would only shut off if he was in the field under a hard pull, pulling a plow or something. When the motor got real hot or under power, that it would shut off. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. I hadn't found anything else wrong with it, so I unplugged it. I'm gonna let him run it like that, and we're gonna test it that way and see if that's the issue. If it never shuts off again, we know we found the problem, and if it's not the problem, we'll have to do something else. But that's one of the things to check that I've researched on the internet to save somebody some time if you run across this video, is if you're blowing that fuel pump fuse, I think it's a 20 amp, I believe is what it's supposed to be, is what he said. And from what I've read, I have no idea because they pulled all the fuses out and just stuck some mess in there. But anyway, I stuck some more mess in there trying to troubleshoot, so we'll get that sorted out as well. But just unplug that and see how it does. And from my understanding, this is it advances the timing when the tractor's cold. Now I don't know how cold. Well, I mean, the specs I've read is when it's below 140 degrees, this thing operates. But it seemed to crank fine, and it's like 60 degrees. I couldn't tell the difference with it unplugged. Now, when it gets down to 20 degrees, maybe you can tell the difference. I don't know. So if you live up north, you may have trouble with it cranking, but down south, I'm not sure if it's going to be an issue. Might just leave the thing unplugged for a while and run it and see, what happens. Because once it gets up to 140 degrees, this switches just like it's unplugged anyways. So we're just going to leave it unplugged. It starts fine. I'll show you that here with it unplugged. is a little bit rough sounding, but it brakes and runs fine. Alright guys, so I'm going to let him try that. There were some wires that were cut due to the way they have the battery in these things. I don't know if I can, maybe I can do this one-handed. Anyway, I just shine you down in here. Alright, you see where the battery's at right there, where those wires come up and the fresh electrical tape? He's let the battery move around and cut the wires off there, and I had to repair some of those to make the headlights work, but I've got that done. The little switch is broke off of there, the little knob, but you can turn it with your hand. We've got headlights, and we have one light on the back right there for work light. The side lights don't work. That's not a big deal. Of course, the tack and all that stuff is broken. All the instrument panel is broken. Anyway, the next thing that he wants to get done is the exhaust pipe over here. If you look at that right there, you can stick your finger in it. They have run into something and bent this pipe back and almost broke it off. And they've done this twice. You can see it's been welded on already, and the pipe was leaned back at an angle. And so I'm guessing I'm just going to cut the thing off and kind of start over here, and I may shorten the stack, you know, because they've done this twice in the last year. So obviously there's a problem, you know, with the operator, but you know how that goes. So I'm thinking I'll just shorten the stack a little bit, and maybe that won't happen again, because it seems to be they break it off before the motor even has time to warm up. I don't know what they're doing for driving on the tree limbs or what, but they try to get up too close to stuff. So anyway, that's the next project there. We're going to go ahead and take care of that, and like I say, on the fuel pump fuse situation, I'm just going to let him run that with it unplugged, and we'll try that. And I think from research that sensor is only like $35 or $40 or something, so he can get one of them need be. But anyway, I got all the headlights working, the work light working, and the alternator's charging and all that good stuff so far. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this exhaust fixed for him, and I'm going to let him come get it and try it out. Alright guys, this is how we're going to fabricable this together here. I got the stack laying on the floor. I've cut some pipe off of it, and I cut some little pie shapes off of it to make me a 90. This is the bell shape on the end of the stack right here, and it will slide over the end of this pipe right here, and we'll just weld that on. This is the easiest way, I guess, that I have of doing this right now. These pie cuts are not the best in the world. I cut it with a Sawzall because that's all I had to cut it with. So anyway, I'm going to get them tacked up, get it welded up, and we'll get this stuck back on there. Alright guys, I want to give you a look at the finished stack here. I've shortened it 10 inches. It was 90 inches from the floor to the top of the stack. It's 80 inches now. That should help with getting broke off there. And what I did is I cut the pipe and just cut the pie cuts in it, and then welded it up. I just welded it up with a flux core. That's what was on the machine. It don't have to be super pretty. It's just a tractor. It's not like a stainless intake on a show car or anything. So just whacked it off with a Sawzall. I don't have a bandsaw or anything to cut it. You know, I was just trying to cut it on a jack stand with a Sawzall, and anyway, it came out looking half decent for what it is. I mean, they're probably going to break it back off again if I had to guess, but for now it is on there and doesn't look too bad. So I think they will be happy with that, and least exhaust won't be blowing in your face. That's what they were complaining about anyway, is the fan blows back across here, and it was blowing the exhaust right up into the operator area and making it very unpleasant to operate. So I got everything fixed up that he wanted. He'll just have to run it with that cold start advanced sensor unplugged and try it and see if that's going to eliminate his problem. And I told him this one whenever he brought it to me. You know, he told me it only did it sometimes. So that's one of those things that's going to be hard to diagnose and replicate if it's working fine when I get it. I mean, but from my research, that's what everybody says. So we're going to go with that, leave it unhooked, let him try it, and hopefully that's what it is, and he can get a sensor and put in it. Anyway, thanks for watching, you guys. Hope this helps somebody out. If you have one of these you're working on and that's what it's doing, maybe somewhere to start. Anyway, thanks for watching, you guys. We'll see you next time.